What's up guys, I'm Sam Dew from Super Street Magazine and I'm here at Design Craft Fabrication in Orange County to check out an EVO build that Gary Castillo is helping us build. So today is the second day of our build and we're kind of trying to figure out what we have left to do. So Gary?
Yeah, so day one went pretty good. It was really just trying to figure out, the status of the engine and helping out a little bit on the cooling. And today what we're gonna try to tackle is a little bit more of the cooling with, adding a radiator, and then now more importantly into the safety side of the car, which would be the seats, the harnesses, and the steering wheel. Okay, so with the factory radiator out now, basically what you can tell is the thickness of this versus the thickness of this. This one's much thicker, so it actually basically holds a little bit more coolant, and it also just has more cooling capacity. If you look even closer, these fins are way more dense than these ones right here. So these ones just actually flow a lot better to keep it staying a lot cooler and getting some airflow to go through it. Lastly, the other difference on this radiator that makes it a little bit better is this is a 1.3 bar, so it needs a little bit more pressure before it actually opens up, while the factory one is at a 1.1. So this will pop open a lot quicker. So basically the factory fan, it's much taller, so we're gonna have an issue later on once we actually start going to a bigger turbocharger, because with a slimmer fan like this one, our turbocharger, it's gonna be much larger and it's gonna be much closer to this side of it. Or this one right here, it's gonna, end up being pretty close to it. Okay, so then saying that, we can go ahead and just install this fan on this radiator and drop it in and not have any issues with it. Okay, so usually before we install the seat, we kind of want to make sure that our seat base matches everywhere on our bolt holes, install our eye hooks for our harnesses, and I tend to leave these things loose just because we gotta bolt to the seat first, because if it's just too tight, then there's gonna be a huge gap right between the seats, so we're ready to bolt it on. Okay, so when we install the seat, what we kind of want to do is I try to get it as low as possible. The two reasons why are because these are side mount seats where the factory ones are bottom mount seats. So with the sliders and this bracket, everything's gonna sit that much higher. So we wanna try to get it as low as possible. But I do try to put a little bit of rake in it. Rake meaning just tilt. So I'll go to this very high one right here. And then I'll go to the third one down here, just so that way the drivers lean back just a tiny bit. So with our side mounts snugged up, what that allows us to do is to go ahead and tighten these ones since we left them loose. I don't know if you can tell, but the way that the seat is, it's not perfectly parallel. It actually kicks out just a tiny bit that way, and that's why these are actually slotted that way. So that gives us the chance to actually go ahead and tighten these up. Okay, so what we did is we replaced the factory bolt with this eye hook to actually make for our lap belts. What a lot of people don't know is SCCA always requires you to either use a cotter pin or safety wire this section of it, just so that way it doesn't accidentally open up. So what we're probably gonna do is we'll go ahead and clip this on. Usually you gotta have this part of the strap on the outside so passenger or driver can grab them and pull them, and you know, they'll be tight. So we'll hook this one on here. And go ahead and run the safety wire through it. And just pull it tight. Then we gotta go ahead and just loop this one right through here. So one of the other things is you always wanna have the excess part of the lap belt on this side of it. So that way it gives the passenger or the driver the ability to pull it from that side of it rather than have it going from the underside. Okay, so what we gotta do is we gotta pull the seat out. And what we did here was we went ahead and installed the eye hooks for the shoulder harnesses. Now these are same thing, they're on the factory seat belt, which is like a universal bolt size. When you're not running a roll cage or a harness bar or anything like that, legally you're allowed to actually hook the hooks on right to our eye hooks right there. But the big thing is what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you cross them like this. Basically what that makes it do is the passenger isn't moving back and forth like that. When it's this way, it keeps them from moving from side to side a lot more. Okay, so now we're gonna install the steering wheel. One of the things, usually when you're trying to install a steering wheel and you just bought a used car, that you kind of want to make sure of is you don't know the history of if somebody pulled the steering wheel off and didn't center it the right way. So it's always nice to check if the thing is actually centered before you actually install your new one on there. So usually the best trick for that is you want to turn it all the way one way. And then from there, you're going to count how long it's going to take to get to the opposite lock. So right now we're at this direction, starting from our 12 o'clock. That's one turn, two turns, and we stop right about 2 o'clock. So what we want to do is we want to cut that number in half, which would be, if this is our 12 o'clock and that's our 2 o'clock, we'll go 1 o'clock. And then we know to go one full turn back around. And if check your front wheels, they should be basically going straight. And right now, the steering wheel is actually centered, so we're actually pretty good. So we're good to leave it in this position right here. We'll go ahead and pull the steering wheel off and then start installing our new steering wheel adapter.
So we just finished day 2 of this Evo build, and Gary, how do you feel the day went?
Yeah, it went good. We just focused on a lot of the cooling and some of the safety, and I think we're actually pretty good to go.
Sweet. So I think all that we have left to do is install new wheels and tires, and also apply the livery that you guys voted on. So stay tuned for the next episode.